Volkswagen, guys, known today for making the hot hatchback. But did you know that Volkswagen has made sports cars? From the elegant Volkswagen Karmann Ghia to the most recent sports car, the Volkswagen Corrado, Volkswagen has been known for making beautiful designs that almost anyone can afford and enjoy on the back roads. Out of several of these sports cars made, the least talked about sports car just happens to be, I personally think, one of the most stunning designs out there that shocked the media and enthusiasts when it first released in 1972. I personally think that this car looks like a mix between a Datsun 280ZX and also a Porsche 911, which I personally feel if more people today knew about this car, the people would be going crazy and the demand would skyrocket for this vehicle. This car is called the Volkswagen SP, and it embodied every aspect of a sports car that the average person could enjoy and afford. Now, if you guys are looking for a future classic sports car, look no further, guys, and join me as we dive into all you need to know about the Volkswagen SP. For all of you who don't know me, guys, my name is Andrew, and welcome to all you need to know about the Volkswagen SP. If you guys are new to the channel, as always, go down below, hit that like button, and subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate it. It would just help overall with the YouTube algorithms and help place this video higher so more people can see it and learn about this beautiful Volkswagen SP. The Volkswagen SP is most popular in Brazil, with many enthusiasts outside of Brazil knowing very little about this stunning vehicle. Why is the SP actually so popular in Brazil? And why haven't people outside of Brazil, such as in the United States or Europe, know more about this car? Well, to be honest, guys, to understand, we gotta go back to the beginning so you guys can understand why the SP was created in the first place. In the 1970s, Brazil banned all imports of motor vehicles into the country, forcing manufacturers to set up shop locally. Luckily, guys, for Volkswagen, this paid off huge, selling 2/3 of all cars sold in Brazil. Volkswagen low price, comfortability, reliability made Volkswagen the first choice for many consumers, but they were missing one thing from their lineup, and that was a new sports car. Due to the ban, many small specialist sports car builders began to spring up around Brazil, most notably a company called Puma. This will come back later, guys. Many of the specialist builders took parts from Volkswagen and General Motors to build their cars, and some of them were quite beautiful cars indeed. Many of these sports cars were produced on small volumes, similar to how Lotus and TVR in Europe produced their cars. Overall, the cars were fun and affordable, which allowed many people to enjoy and get into these cars. At this point, Volkswagen had no intentions of making a new sports car, and they were focused on the Type 3 production. A director at Puma, a small specialist sports car builder, suggested since Volkswagen of Brazil did not have a stylish sports car, that the pride of place on the Volkswagen stand at the 1969 Brazilian Motor Show should be a Puma. Why, you may ask? Well, the car was built almost entirely of Volkswagen parts. As you could imagine, the head of Volkswagen in Brazil was pretty pissed off with this comment and quickly formed a plan to build their own sports car. At this point, the beautiful Volkswagen Karmann Ghia was on its last production run, and the new car would need to replace it. The car would be built on the Volkswagen Type 3 variant, which featured your typical Volkswagen torsion bar suspension and the 4-cylinder horizontally opposed air-cooled engine. In 1973, the Volkswagen SP started production, and this car was one beautiful head turner. To me, like I mentioned before, this car looks like a mix between a Datsun and a Porsche. They actually came together and came up with this beautiful design for a car. The overall styling wasn't the only thing the car had going for it. It also had impressive safety features that allowed Volkswagen to market this car to other markets around the world. The SP came with two options, guys. So the first option was the SP1, which was the entry-level SP model. The second option was the SP2, which was the more powerful option, and that's a big emphasis on the quotes there for powerful. Sadly, the SP1 had a very short lifespan when it was dropped from production, with only 88 cars being made, leaving the SP2 as the only option for consumers to purchase. The name for the SP2 came from where the car was designed, in São Paulo, but locals had their own name for this car, semi-potência, which translates to without power. I probably butchered that, but you guys will all let me know in the comments section. The SP was notorious for being underpowered, which really hurt the sales numbers for the SP2 throughout its whole production life cycle. Many of the people who bought the SP loved the car and didn't mind the lack of power. The car was very comfortable coupe, and it was a perfect GT cruiser just to go out on the back roads and enjoy. The last SP rolled off the assembly line in 1976, with only 10,205 being made between the SP1 and SP2. What makes the SP the SP? The SP1 and SP2 at the time were beautiful sports cars that had so much potential to be legendary Volkswagen classics. The only thing holding back the SP was the poor performance, and as a sports car, it should be living up to the sports car reputation. The SP1 was the entry-level car and came with a 1.6-liter boxer 4-cylinder engine that produced 64 horsepower at 4,000 RPMs and 83 foot-pounds of torque at 4,000 RPMs. 0 to 60 for the SP1 was not actually listed anywhere, but just through some research, I would assume the 0 to 60 would take around 17 seconds for this car. The top speed for the SP1 was 100 miles an hour. Now, the SP2 was, I quote, the performance option, but it was not much better actually than the SP1. The SP2 came with a 1.7-liter boxer 4-cylinder engine that produced 74 horsepower at 4,000 RPMs and 100 foot-pounds of torque at 4,000 RPMs. 0 to 60 in the SP2 took around 16 seconds and also had a top speed of 100 miles an hour. Between the SP1 and SP2, the only major difference was the motor option, and then also a few interior differences that were upgrades in the SP2. Both cars, surprisingly, were incredibly lightweight vehicles, weighing in at only 1,962 pounds, which weighs less than a Lotus Elise, a TVR, and a Datsun 240ZX. That's pretty crazy. These would make great cars to make a sports car out of. The overall platform for the SP was the perfect chassis for a lightweight sports car. The only thing that this car was missing was more power. As I mentioned earlier, the SP was known for its safety features, such as a steering column that was designed to collapse during a collision. The brakes had hydraulics that were dual circulated, and also they had a pretty sweet collision belt around the whole entire car. This belt was made up from several different structures, such as a spring-loaded front bumper that would absorb a collision below 5 miles an hour, and also it had a front and rear side collision zone, which would absorb any side impacts and prevent the car from crumbling under a side impact. Adding many of these features into the SP allowed Volkswagen to market the SP to other world markets around the world. These safety features, for example, allowed the car to actually pass US regulations and be sold in the US. Even though, guys, the SP had a short production life, the design of the car lived on in Volkswagen for several years. Back in Germany, they saw the attention that the SP was receiving from the media, and they knew that they could change up some things on the SP and really add that power to bring the SP to the next level. Volkswagen decided to work with Porsche to create a new model that would be a resemblance of the SP, but like I mentioned, bring that performance that the SP was missing. The project completely redesigned the car, relocating the engine from the rear to the front of the car with a transaxle going to the rear, which gave the car a 48-52 front and rear weight distribution. With the oil shortages in the 1970s, Volkswagen actually stopped working on this project and sold all the rights to this concept back to Porsche. Porsche would go ahead and complete this car and introduce it as the Porsche 924 in 1976. It's pretty crazy to think that Porsche and Volkswagen were working together, and they actually could have made this car into a Volkswagen. So could have been a cool little Volkswagen, but obviously Porsche won out on this one. What are the SPs selling for? Now, if you are looking to buy a Volkswagen SP, they are not going to be easy to find in the US or even in Europe. Many of the SPs were built and stayed in Brazil when they were first produced. And over the years, many of these cars have rusted out and they're very difficult to find in the clean original Volkswagen SP, condition. If you happen to find one, they are going to be incredibly expensive, guys, to buy one of these cars. They are not cheap at all. Currently, the price range for a completely stock OEM original, no rust, low mileage SP can range from $40,000 all the way up to $70,000. Pretty crazy numbers for a slow sports car, to be honest. If now you want a higher mileage rusty SP, they can range from around $15,000 US all the way up to $20,000 US. There are very few SPs out there that come up for sale very often, and when they do, there is big demand for these cars with a lot of people looking to buy them. If you guys live in the US or Europe, you can import now, say the SP, into your home country from Brazil. I would personally recommend using a professional exporting company to make sure that all your paperwork is sorted and all the fees are paid for before the car actually arrives in your home port. Just kind of a good practice to make sure everything's taken care of and the car can legally come into your country. If you guys, like I mentioned, want the best SP possible, the best place to find one is where the car was produced in Brazil, and go about it exporting those cars legally into your home country. Modifications. So the SP is overall pretty rare, and therefore many people have not modified these cars. There are very few people out there that have lowered the cars or added BBSs on these cars. Very few things have been done, I would say, overall to an SP. But I look at this car and I think it would be the perfect opportunity to make a Volkswagen / Porsche monster of a car. I think this is what I would do. I would take a Porsche 911 turbo motor, wide body, an SP, and then I would update the interior and exterior to bring it kind of more into the 21st century. I think it would be a really cool SEMA build. Very rare. You wouldn't see anything like this out there today. I don't know. What do you guys think? You think we should do an SP modern build for this channel? Sticking a Porsche 911 twin turbo motor in the back of an SP would be absolutely bonkers. This car could have 700 rear wheel horsepower on a car that weighs 1,900 pounds. That would be absolutely nuts. What do you guys think? Throw in the comment section down below if you guys think this would be an awesome build, something you guys would love to see on the channel, because hey, I'm looking to do another build eventually and I want to see what you guys think would be a fun project to do. So the SP, a beautiful design with not that much power. This car had all the right elements to be a beautiful, timeless Volkswagen sports car, but the design and engineers just forgot to put the sports aspect into the car. Still, I find the SP1 and SP2 to be a beautiful car and extremely underrated in the car community today. The overall design and lightweightness of this car would allow for a great platform to make a crazy build off of. Yes, this will take lots of time and lots of money to do, but I personally feel that a build like this would be something so unique and so different that people would really appreciate a build like this. In the United States and Europe, not too many people know about these cars, and due to this, they are being lost to time. The spirit of the SP lived on for several years in the Porsche 924 and had great success for the Porsche brand. The SP did see a reemergence as a concept car in the early 2000s, but quickly faded away and nothing really ever became of this concept car. Hopefully the beautiful design of the SP will live on for years to come, and more enthusiasts will take an interest to this car as more people learn about them and the potential that they actually hold. I hope you all enjoyed this look into the Volkswagen SP. If you all enjoyed this video, like always guys, go down below there, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. If you want to see more All You Need to Know episodes, let me know in the comments section which cars you all would like to see. I'm open to do any cars you guys want, any brands, anything like that. Throw them down below. I love to do these videos, so let me know what you guys want to see for the next video. Until next time, guys, my name is Andrew. Peace out.